we're going to start with the Lakers. And I'm going to ask you if it's an overreaction. Have the 3-0 Lakers fixed all of their issues from last season with one single transaction? Hiring JJ Redick.
No. I can't say that. I can say that they have improved and they've gotten better buy-in, most significantly from Anthony Davis, who couldn't seem to wait to throw shade at Darvin Ham last year and can't wait to praise JJ Redick and what he's meant for the team. How much I agree with him? Maybe not so much, but the important thing is that he thinks that way and that he's all in right now and he feels more confident and he's certainly playing better. So one thing we can say is we're getting the best of Anthony Davis. And whether or not JJ Redick has managed to unlock that or not, I'm not sure how much the cause and the attribution is, but we can definitely say this is the Anthony Davis that they need. The reason I'm a little hesitant, I was just looking through the numbers before we started on. The Lakers are giving up 115.3 points per game. Of the teams with a positive point differential so far, that is the highest points allowed per game. So the defense isn't exactly clamping down on opponents, and that's something that if they don't tighten that up, could come back to bite them. But the other important thing, and I've been thinking about this, I made this statement during the Olympics, that when LeBron doesn't have to be the best player on the team, it frees him up to be the most valuable player on the team. That is, if he doesn't have to handle all the scoring load and bring the ball up the court and get all the rebounds and guard the other player's best team, the team's best player, he can then pick and choose and fill in as needed. And that's what we saw in the Olympics, right? He wasn't necessarily the best, maybe, but he was the most valuable player of the Olympics because he didn't have to carry the load. And Anthony Davis is carrying the load, and we're seeing the value of LeBron James when he can just analyze and see what he needs to do on this particular night and then fill that role. He can be the ultimate role player, you could argue, right? So
he's a Swiss Army
that dynamic is working well, I think. The fact that Davis being the best player, we're seeing a more valuable version of LeBron than we've seen with the Lakers recently.
I think, and this will come as a surprise that people are going to say this, I'm using this as a compliment, but I promise you I'm using this as a compliment in the context of what J.A. just said. He's like a Scottie Pippen, where, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And that's not a disrespect.
You just said Scottie Pippen's name in a positive light. Not as a slur, not denigrating anybody. You paid a compliment to LeBron by invoking Scottie Pippen. Did I get that right?
Are you treating me like a hostile witness here? Yes, I just gave LeBron and Scottie Pippen a compliment. Scottie at his best was the ultimate Swiss Army knife. Like, you couldn't ask Scottie to lead the team per se. Like, that wasn't the best use of his talent, even during the 90s where you were barely getting up 90 points a game. Like, Scottie's not the guy that you're asking, hey, Scottie, we need 25 to 30 points from you tonight. Like, he could get you there, but you couldn't ask him to do that. LeBron at this stage of his career, at going on 40 years old, I don't know how this is continuing to go, right? But it is going, right? So with that being said, Anthony Davis, we've been talking for years, J.A. When is Anthony Davis going to be the guy to take over? When is he going to be the guy that that carries the mantle? That you're the hub on offense, you're already the hub on defense, and you're going to be the guy that's the catalyst and the driver of winning. Not just the guy who influences winning, but you're the guy who drives winning. He's now driving winning, like 34 a night, 11 rebounds, 3.3 assists. That's not a huge number per se, especially on a team with LeBron James, but you can see that they're using him as a hub on offense. He's playing from the elbows. You got cutters around him. He's seeing the floor better. I don't think he's necessarily a great passer, but I think he can make passes. And then defensively, I saw him basically shut the lane down against Minnesota on opening night, whereas the team defense may not be very strong right now, but where he has on the interior, nobody's coming down there. And I think if nothing else, he can be the most devastating defensive player in the league, not named Victor Wembanyama, for at least another year.
Yeah, and remember, early last year, he came out looking like an MVP at the outset. Didn't sustain that, but did play in a lot more games, right, than we were used to. So we got the best version of Anthony Davis in the regular season. And then really the only thing he's done wrong in the last 2 playoffs is get outplayed by Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
No shame in that, right? There's no shade in losing out in your matchup if your matchup is Nikola Jokic. Remember that one defense he played on that Jokic when Jokic went all behind his head doing that three? How was Anthony Davis supposed to play him any better, right? So, if his goal, if you're going to ask him if the necessity to win a championship is for him to outplay Nikola Jokic, I don't think that's happened. But I think there's a world in which he can hold his own or win against, Victor Wembanyama, right? At this stage, I think we can reasonably expect Anthony Davis to get a win against Victor if they play him. What's interesting, Chet Holmgren?
Chet is here.
Chet Holmgren?
Look, we're getting to that later. We're getting to that. We are getting
Chet Holmgren?
We are getting to that later. You are going a little further ahead of the program. But you're getting ahead of yourself. No, I think J.A., I think Anthony Davis is a fascinating player. I think LeBron at this stage of his career, if he can be the Swiss Army knife, I think that's, like you said, that's the best use for him, because also you don't have to worry about him being tired down the stretch of games and tired down the stretch of seasons if he doesn't have to have all the usage. And I think we've seen LeBron wear down a little bit towards the end of games and seasons, just because it's hard to sustain this stuff. No matter how great of shape you are in and how well you treat your body, the $1 million a year in your body and everything else, no matter how much you do that, your body is your body. Like Father Time is undefeated, in that level. So if you can take a little bit of the load off of him by running through Anthony Davis, assuming he's healthy, and he played the most games in his career last year, I think it was 76. I'm not sure if we can expect that this year, but we got something there.